Hmm. Hello everyone, I'm Ayush Kumar Gupta and this is my LTO presentation which is on Magyar language, that is Hungarian. Yeah, so first of all about the demography. So Hungary is a very small country located in Europe, surrounded by many countries like Slovak, Romania, Slovenia, etc. So there are about 30 million speakers in Hungary and neighboring region. Some of them are from Romania and Slovak, and Hungarian use Magyar which is Magyar language, to term Hungarian language. And it is very fascinating that being surrounded by many Indo-European language, Hungary is a Uralic language. So, okay, history of Hungary. So, Hungarian belongs to Ugric language of Finno-Ugric branch of Uralic family, which originated near the Urals mountain. The Ural family is divided into two main groups, Samnitic and Finno-Ugric. Hungarian diverged from Proto-Ugric around 800 BC, while its closest relative, that is Khanty and Mansi, remained in Siberia. So, its closest relative is very far from them and it is surrounded by Indo-European language. We can see it is originated from Uralic language, Finno-Ugric and Ugric and West Ugric, and then Hungarian. It has been separated by 800 BC with its closest relative. So, how Hungarian end up in such a situation can be understood by its history. The Magyars, ancestor of modern Hungarians, migrated from Urals regions to the Carpathian Basin around 895 C, with an event known as Honfoglas, which is conquest. During their migration, they interacted with Turkic tribes and they borrowed many loanwords like Sablya, Persever, and Tars for companion, which we can see from their lexical borrowing. Similarly, in medieval period, the kingdom of Hungary was established in 1000 CE under King Stephen I, who Christianized the population and Latin became administrative language, but Hungarian persisted as vernacular. The oldest surviving text was from the funeral sermon, which is written in Hungarian language. Then we can see Ottoman and Habsburg influence on the language. Ottoman introduced Turkish words, like we saw along with pop of sleep, which is termed as sleeper. And Habsburg influence brought German terms like Kramfus, which is goblin. So sorry if I haven't pronounced it correctly. Language reforms. In 19th century, there is language renewal, that is Nelbugidas, which is language renewal movement which modernized Hungarian. In this renewal, they coined many terms like eudaimony for the science and standardized grammar. That's why we see very less dialects in this country. So for the dialects, we can see there are three main dialects: Transylvanian, which has archaic features and have Romanian influence; Western, which have German loanwords; and Sango, which is isolated dialect in Romania's Moldavia region. So coming to linguistic features, so first we talk about phonology. Hungarian's vowels inventory include around 14 vowel phonemes distinguished by length, rounding, and firmness, as given in the chart. They have short vowels like and a, whereas they also have long vowels like a, etc. And they have a distinguished feature known as vowel harmony. So like suffixes harmonize with the root vowels front or back quality. The word has, which is for house, becomes haswa, which is in the house. But whereas the Kurt garden become Kurt ben instead of Kurt barn, which is in the garden. So this signifies vowel harmony. There are also many words like we distinguish from here barn and ben. Suffixes there are nal and el, bol and bool, etc. Are the suffixes which get influenced by this vowel harmony features. This is a link for the YouTube where you can see the pronunciation of each vowel individually, which is very common in Hungarian. So okay, here we see the consonants feature. So Hungarian has shops like and this is palatal and da. Whereas they have epicage and fricative etc. And they have stress and intonation. So Hungarian has fixed stress on the first syllable and intonation like rising intonation in question like we say are you coming, etc. Which is common feature in almost all Uralic language. Syllabic structure. Hungarian has syllables in CVC format. They allow cluster like strong, which is beach in Hungarian, and they have assimilation. So bread, which is Kenya. This is the example of regressive assimilation, where the nasal become palatalized before a front vowel. They also have gemination. Hungarian use contrastive consonant length, so like a match versus match, which has different meaning. Like match is match, and match, which is spark. So this feature is rare in Indo-European language, but common in Uralic language. Gemination is common in Uralic language. Now sound changes. So regularity principle, sound occur regularly across the language. Sound change occur regularly across the language, aligning with her Neo-Grammailian hypothesis that sound laws suffer no exception. So like the Proto-Ugric term evolved into Hungarian terms in words like folio, which is river, where the original word was replaced, original sound was replaced. We also saw we saw change shape, like the long vowel like in the has influenced the short vowels in the hall, which is fish, creating a more balanced vowel system. This is example of full chain where one sound change triggered another to maintain phonological contrast. Phonological adaptation, the Turkish word like which was adapted into Hungarian's popox. The Turkish, the C and the word which was plotter replaced by Hungarian sha. This reflects on a logical change where non-native sounds are substituted with native one to fit borrowing language phonology. Yeah. So okay, let's talk about morphology. So Hungarian is of agglutinative language. It attaches suffixes to root without fusion. So like we say hasban, and for the plural we use the suffix akka. So hazak, which is houses. So in the houses, if we want to say, it would be hazakban. So it uses suffixes to add meanings to a root word. So similarly, right is to right is erni, and I wrote is erdo. Case system. So like Hungarian have around 18 to 21 grammatical cases. Suffixes function as postpositions. So like we saw in the city was husband. So like from the city would be husband. They are example of inessive and ablative. There are others grammatical cases like instrumental, definite versus indefinite conjugation. So okay, yeah. Verbs conjugate based on object definiteness. So like definite would be I see the book. So it would be laudum a convivet, whereas indefinite laudum h convivet, which is I see a book, so which can be distinguished in Hungarian. There is morphological integration, like borrowed words are adapted to morphological rules of Hungarian. So like the word cafe, which is borrowed from Turkish word, it has been adapted in Hungarian as cafe house, which is coffee house. This shows how borrowed words are adapted to the morphological rules of Hungarian. So analogical extension. So here originally like words with irregular conjugation, but it follows regular patterns. So like foresaw, which is I cook, and foresaw, which is you cook. This reflects Sturtevant's paradox, like sound change creates irregularity, which while analog creates regularity. Articles. So the articles are invariable for number, person, gender, and case. The definite articles is edge, while the definite articles has two forms, are and us, where the first is used before consonants, and the latter before vowels, which is very similar to English indefinite articles. Yeah, and the edge is the term the, so it is very similar to English. With regard to homography, the form of definite article us can also be a demonstrative pronoun, and the definite indefinite articles can be homonymous to numeral one, which is very similar to English. So nouns, yeah, morphological integration with this. Yeah, nouns. Every Hungarian noun may be analyzed as a stem, followed by three positions in which inflectional suffixes can occur. So, thus, noun are inflected for number, person, and case with relevant suffixes attached in that order. Any or all of the three inflection suffixes may be occupied by a zero suffix, which denote either singular first position, absence of possessor, or nominative case. So, there are complete table in the report, which you can see how it affects the noun number. Yeah. So, like we discussed in the case of house, like for the singular, it is just a word, and for the plural, it is egg. But here we see vowel harmony. So like the word dike is for student, but instead of dike, which is for the plural, is instead it become dikok. Yeah. So it is followed by means generally the structure is suffix a followed preceded by an epenthetic vowel after a consonant final. So person and possession. So possession is usually indicated with a personal suffix on the possessed noun. The form vary for the number and person. So like for the singular, it would be m om, and for the plural, it is ang, etc. So now let's come to the syntax. So syntax happens. I have provided everything related to syntax, mostly headwords. In one slide, I'm going to discuss about these things. The first is word order. So Hungarian have very flexible order like Hindi. It follows SVO predominantly, and the focus element must precede the verb. So like a few, always a convert, the boy reads the book. But for the emphasis, we can say a convert, always a few, which is it's the book that boy reads. So we can change the position of the element before the verb to have more focus. Okay. Scrambling, like we can say Hungarian have scrambling feature, scrambling of nominal dependence. Like we can change the word structure like it is still fine. Quantifiers floating, so like quantifiers in Hungarian can float freely without the noun phrase. For example, like every student read a book. So maintain always out edge convert. Instead we say the students all read a book. So a dialogue mind always cut edge convert. So we can see here example the student all instead of using every student we use the word the student all. The quantifier all is after the student but still conveys the same meaning in Hungarian. Causative construction. These are the main points. Causative construction are formed with suffixes like art and tat, which is attached to verb stem Hungarian. So just it could be accusative. So like en hogatem tracket, and it can be instrumental like en hogatem grek kel means it was at and kel distinction between accusative and instrumental. Periphrastic causatives are also relevant in the language. Relative construction. So we use relativization terms like in ami, ami for things and aki for people. So these are usually placed after noun, that is post-nominal. These clauses agree with case number and animacy with their antecedents. There are two types of those clauses, restrictive and non-restrictive. So the restrictive have provide essential meaning to the sentence, whereas non-restrictives are extra non-essential information. Headless relative clauses are also present in the syntax part. So yeah, dependent parting and case systems are also there, like nominative, accusative, uh, dative, instrumental, etc. So there are certain suffixes which gives the like this, and we saw in like they have around 18 grammatical cases. Yeah, modifiers. So modifier precede noun, and the Hungarian allows taking of adjective and determiners. So like the big red apple would be Nagy Salva. Here we can see like in means, maybe it doesn't sound correct for the Hungarian speaker, but the sentence which I got have a very good structure of using the size term followed by color term and preceded by determiner in the language. Okay, question and negation. Yes, no question like are there like we can ask with a rising intonation. We can use WH questions with the terms like key, which is generally used for who, and the particles like do you know. So we can use word like to do. Negation are also there like I don't eat an apple. So like nam is used. There is no apple, so ning is used. Okay, now okay we had some more terms like tense and aspect. Hungarian use suffixes for them also. Passive constructions like Hungarian use passive voice less frequently than other language. There are several methods like suffix have odic is added to verb to create passive verbs. Yeah, means we have some structures of syntax also attached in the report. You can see. So we come to semantic part. So first we will go to kinship terms. So Hungarian have many kinship terms. Some of feature of their kinship terms are they distinguish maternal and paternal relatives. This is what we also do in Hindi, like mama and chacha, and uses gender neutral terms. So they use it gender neutral terms also. Uh, yeah, they have terms for grandmother like Naj mama. which is very related, like mama means mother and Daj means big. So it is grandmother and Daj mama has very much similarity. Whereas they use apai for paternal and anai for maternal. So like they use for grandmother, apai grandmother, mother, and for the nani they can use ana grandmother. Okay. There are some words which is different, like they use lestword for siblings, twistword for brother, and landstword for sisters. The things which I got from the interview, like they use ox, like ox, I don't know exact pronunciation, for the chota bhai, beti, for bada bhai, noble for badi behan, and fugue for choti behan, which is different from Hindi because we use bhai behan instead. Bada bhai, we use bada bhai, badi behan. We do not have a specific term for these words in our language. So they use pronouns and titles like they for informal you and mago for strangers or elders. Like it is very similar to our Hindi. Yeah, culture terminology. So like one thing I know that when they have to say, "Do you understand?" They use Magyar. So Magyar is like a understanding, intelligent person in their culture. Contribute for patriotic sorrow, and when just situate is for hospitality. Sorry if I pronounce it. Okay, Hungarian use pronouns. Okay, like for the titles they use a for informal and Mong for elder and the standard which we already mentioned. There are also terms with like titles which are very common in all language like doctor. Color terms, yeah. Hungarian have around 11 basic color terms with their culture and the metamorphical region, metaphorical region. And like words like Piros is for bright red, has symbolism for like joy and celebration. Boros, which is dark red for danger and communism, which is white as similar in Hindi, also like red as symbols in weddings and all. And similarly, like they use idioms like black soup, which is for bad news, which is athletes. Pure blue blood for nobility, which is very similar to German, like Ekberg. Yeah, there are some proverbs and idioms in Magyar. So like who dares wins, like very similar to Hindi proverb, जो हिम्मत करता है वो जीता है something like that. एक snare which they say. And there are many proverbs which you can get from this site which I found. Linguistic borrowing, yeah, means the words like doctor have been borrowed from English. Means and the words like sparrow meaning pen from the Turkic. I think I have mentioned it earlier also. Semantics. So these are the numbers like H is for 1, 2, 4, Keto, and the extra for 3, 4, 5, 6. They use like 21 is Hus on H, and 20 is Hus, 30 is Harman, and 31 will be Harman H. So this you can see. Well, the languages have some other features like Hungarian have two forms for two, like keto when counting and ket before any noun. So I have mentioned I forgot to uh, specify this. There are also ordinal and numbers like first, second, third, fourth, which has been mentioned in report. Okay, gender. So like Hungarian does not have any grammatical gender. It does not categorize noun, pronoun, or adjective by gender. So no gender pronoun, no gender noun. Gender can be specified only if needed. So like Hockey for male and Noi for female. Male teacher like Kana is for teacher. Perfect Kana is male teacher and Noi Kana is female teacher instead of Adhyapak and Adhyapika in Hindi. Gender can also be specified no suffix for specified by no suffix for women. So like Sujis Nesto is actress and Sujis Nes is for actor. Adjective stays the same regardless of gender. So finally, okay, yeah. Finally, came to the last topic of semantics. Sorry, Greenberg Universal. So there are many universal which has been means which follow uh, mm, Hungarian language. Hungarian language follow many Greenberg Universal. Some of them are mentioned in same like Hungarian uses postposition and genitive possessor. Like it precedes the noun in a line with the universal. Hungarian follow SOV and uses postposition supporting universal. Hungarian has primary suffixing and use postposition. And in Hungarian, derivation and inflectional morphemes follow the root. And like one we mentioned for the adjective part, like how it was like determinant and the size and then the color, which also follows Greenberg Universal. There are many which has been mentioned in the report. So okay, this is from my side. These are the reference which I got. And like there are some YouTube video which discuss about specific features of Hungarian, Omniplot for the alphabets and those charts, Wikipedia. Land Focus was one of the YouTube channel. And the first questionnaire, I have interviewed a person with a questionnaire, and he provided many insights, especially for the semantics and syntax part, which have been mentioned in the report. And thank you.